Alrighty, good evening, everybody. Late night with Smitty. Um, I know it's holiday Monday up here in Canada, but I got George Visger joining the show. The last time I didn't have somebody was showing the face. It's happened before. It was Jason, it was Jason Blake. So all good. But we can definitely keep doing this. It's awesome. There's a picture of you and your family in front of me here. So
That's good.
it's not just a complete blank screen, but that's kind of how it goes. But yeah, thanks so much for making the time. I know you sent me a Facebook request, and I saw we had a bunch of mutual friends, and I'm the guy that's friends with everybody on there, and so yeah, I appreciate that. And
I
what
was going to ask you how we connected. So it was on Facebook.
it was, and then you sent something to me on my Facebook line, and then I asked you if you wanted to be part of
Got it.
come on the podcast, and you said absolutely. You have a journey to share, and I mean, I was researching it the other day, and again, I'll be 47 on Monday or on Friday, pardon me. So again, I don't have really any recollection of your playing days with the New York Jets and with the San Francisco 49ers. I remember this Super Bowl vaguely between the Bengals and 49ers on the second Super Bowl.
Right,
But not
right.
Super Bowl 16, but quite and playing for Bill Walsh and all of this. This is fascinating stuff.
Yeah, been a pretty crazy ride.
Mhm. So, how would you kind of describe that? And we can get into it with your playing days, and then transition into a lot of the stuff with the brain injuries and that sort of thing.
Well, where do you want me to start? So I grew up in Northern California.
Yeah.
Um, I played high school ball at Amos Alonzo Stagg High, which was named after the winningest coach in the history of football. From until Bear Bryant broke his record, whenever that was.
Right.
So Amos Alonzo Stagg was on the very first All-Star team in 1899 with
Wow.
the likes of Pop Warner and guys that literally created the game. And then Stagg coached till he was like 92, crazy.
Yeah.
And he finished his coaching career at University Pacific right in Stockton. So anyway, so I played at a high school named after a legendary coach, and I played with on amazing teams. From my first year playing, I played on the very first Pee Wee Pop Warner team Stockton never had, the 1970 West Stockton Bear Cubs.
Hmm.
29 kids on the team. Three of us signed NFL contracts in 1980, and our safety was Vaughn Hayes, who went on to a Major League Baseball All-Star career. So we had 29 kids on the team and four future professional athletes.
That's
Well, odds were like millions to one.
that
And
that's that that's pretty crazy. I mean, to be quite honest, I mean
oh,
it's
isn't it?
wild.
It. I mean, it's like, what did several years ago, I used to use this number. There were like 1,064,000 college players in the country.
Uh-huh.
And of those, maybe there's what now there's 32 teams. So
Yeah.
maybe four rookies a team will make it. So let's
Hmm.
say 130 of those million will make it in the NFL. Now the million includes freshman, sophomore, but I mean the odds of just even playing in college, but to have three guys off of a Pee Wee team, and I mean when we started off, first five games I ever played in, we scored 251 points to our opponent's zero. And I was a skinny, scrawny kid. They nicknamed me Clang because I was so knock-kneed when I ran. The coaches said
Right.
they could hear my knees clang clear across the field. But I was tough and I went both ways. I was a tight end, defensive end, and I just loved the game. And both my older brothers played clear into college, and I always wanted to be better. And then so I want to get into Stag, um, and I started lifting weights in seventh grade. because I wanted to play in the NFL. It was
Oh
not a,
yeah.
I wanted to be a biologist and I wanted to play in the NFL. And after lifting weights, seventh, eighth, ninth grade, I get into Stagg High School my sophomore year. I'm 6'2", 148. After 3 years of lifting, and I was eating like 6, 8, 12 raw eggs a day and milkshakes at night, dude. Everything you could to put on weight. And I came in at a robust 148 or something like that my sophomore year. Didn't even play varsity my sophomore year. Between my sophomore season and my junior year, I put on 55 pounds. And I
Wow.
came back my junior year at like 215. And I was defensive tackle. I was all city, all league. And then I was always a good student too.
Mhm.
And then by my senior, kept hammering the weights. I was like 235, 3.0 GPA. I had scholarship offers all over the country. Now I knew I needed a scholarship time on Pee Wee Pop Warner, and I knew I needed that to get in the NFL. Well, my dad never even finished college. I mean, never even finished high school. So he grew up in Lansing, Michigan, worked on these ore ships in high school that went over to Canada, brought back ore, and he was a hell of a basketball player. In 1941, he was offered a $1,200 a year contract by the Philadelphia Knicks before they moved to New York, right?
Hmm.
Professional. That was a lot of money.
Yeah.
Japanese bomb Pearl Harbor. He lies about his age, enlists in the Navy at 17, and then you're into the war was over. And he fought in all the major campaigns in South Pacific. He was on LST 751, a landing ship transport, and then his ship was decommissioned at Treasure Island in the Bay Area after the war. And he met my mom, little 5'3" Rita Rishwain. She was serving cokes at a USO dance, and he ended up marrying her, raising six of us kids. Drove a beer truck,
Nice.
raised six of us in a two-bedroom, one bath house in Stockton, California, where summer times it'll get 110, 112, 114 degrees, no air conditioning, zero air conditioning in the sweat box. And I'm the fifth of six kids. Both my older brothers, one of them played college ball. And when I was really young, they converted the one car garage into the boys' room.
Hmm.
My two older brothers slept out there. And you know, we just made do and great family. I mean, incredibly tight. Uh, and then I just kept hammering it. I wanted to get to college and I earned a scholarship, University of Colorado. So when I'm coming out of high school, now I'm 17 years old. So my number one priorities wherever I went to school, having grown up in this hot house, in this sweat box of a house, my number one priority was I wanted cold weather.
Hmm.
I wanted to hunt and fish, and then I wanted a good football program, and then I wanted a good biology program.
Yeah.
So I took recruiting trips to University of Washington, Hawaii, had great schools of oceanography, and then when I signed at Colorado, because oh man, I love the cold weather and the hunting and fishing. So first thing the old man said was, "What the hell kind of school of oceanography they have at Colorado?" I go major in fisheries biology. So I went to Colorado at 17. We won the Big Eight my freshman year, and played the old Woody Hayes Ohio State Buckeyes in the '77 Orange Bowl. I won my starting position that spring, and I started 3 years at defensive tackle. And by my senior year, I just kept putting on weight, and I was up to about 255. And then I got up to like 270, 260-ish by the time the draft came around. And then there were 12 rounds of draft. And my goal was I wanted to go on the first day. And I slid in late in the afternoon. New York Jets in the sixth round, they drafted me. And then and I go to camp, and I knew they had Joe Klecko, who ended up, he's a Hall of Famer now.
Yes.
Marty Lyons was their first round pick, another defensive lineman year before. I'd never heard of Mark Gastineau, right?
Right.
So I come into camp and here this backup comes in and he's like 6'5", 284, and was 12% body fat, and he ran a 4.440. I mean, I was running a 4.9 at 275, and I thought that was good, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, it was. I ended up getting cut into preseason, and Niners picked me up about the fifth game of the season.
Hmm.
Come into practice, I have a short week to practice. We're playing the Cowboys on a Saturday, so it's a really short week. They give me a skinny little playbook, learn the basics. We fly to Dallas. Saturday, we're playing. First play I'm in at defensive tackle. Now, keep in mind how ironic this is. From seventh grade, 11 years old, I worked my ass off to make it in the NFL. My first play, now I played, preseason with the Jets, but those preseasons don't count. My first play in the NFL, I get earholed on a Dallas tight end trap that ultimately caused my 9 brain surgeries and ended my career the following year. So I get earholed. I don't remember that game. I don't remember playing the Rams the next week. And a week and a half later, the team doctors and trainers are laughingly telling me I went through 12 or 15 smelling salts against the Cowboys to keep me on the field. I'd come off sideways. They say they'd give me a couple, clear my head, I'd go back in and play. And it was a joke back then.
Right.
They called it getting your bell rung.
Right.
So, um, so we get through the season. I think we were like 8-8 that year, mediocre. That was Walsh's second year. His first year, they were like 2-14. They stunk. And then, so I come back my second. Oh, then I blew my knee out in mini camp and come back to camp in August. And then by now I'm really, I mean, I'm getting there. I'm down to I'm like 265. I was benching 460. I was like greatest shape of my life. It was like, okay, this is my breakout year. And I blew my knee out in camp. But after the season, I'm going to back up a little bit. Um, After the Dallas game, I started getting these really bad headaches, and they got worse and worse in the off season. I went and saw the docs 2 or 3 different times. I'd get pounding headaches and see a ball of light in front of each eye, and they got worse and worse. Then my hearing would come and go at the beat of each of my with my each heartbeat, and the team docs tell me it's high blood pressure. So I go into camp and blow my knee out again, and my head's getting worse. And I have knee surgery. And as I'm coming back off of that, my symptoms are getting just horrific at night. Projectile vomiting. Every night I would tell the docs, I said, man, when I puke, I can hit the ball from like 20 yards out and chip porcelain. I mean, it's like a fire hose. It's a term they use, and it's a classic symptom of intracranial pressure, which these knuckleheads missed. So every night I have a ball of light in front of each eye, like a flashlight in front of each eyeball. My hearing would come and go at the beat of my heart when I had these killer headaches. I'm puking my guts out. Team docs are telling me it's high blood pressure. The last night, while I'm going through all this, my right arm goes paralyzed, curls up across my chest with my fist up under my chin. And now I'm laying down. I'm just thinking, shit, I'm dying. I'm rooming with 2 guys in a team, Terry Totolo and Scott Stouch. And ironically, if you Google Visger Totolo Channel 13 News in 2011, I found Terry Totolo, who had played a 9-year NFL career. I found him living under an underpass in Long Beach, California, no teeth, eating out of garbage cans with his own brain damage. And you can Google this news story we did. It's heartbreaking.
Wow.
And so I'm rooming with Terry and Scott. They're coming in. I'm in intensive care for 14 days at Stanford. Zero people from the 49ers facility come to see me other than Terry and Scott. Not even my position coach, Bill McPherson. They knew they screwed up by misdiagnosing me, and they were going to already plan on trying to make me disappear. They didn't want anyone seen at the neurosurgery ward at Stanford where people would ask questions. Well, Terry and Scott are coming in to see me, and they're telling me, yeah, Coach Walsh told the team that you had a spinal test done and you're at your parents' house in Stockton recuperating. Well, where Stockton, where I grew up, was only like 2 hours from the Bay Area, right? From San
Right.
Francisco.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm laying there thinking, they're telling me this at the same time I'm getting phone calls from the trainers and doctors. They're telling me they're going to have a special made helmet to protect my shunt so I keep playing. Well, I developed hydrocephalus, water in the brain. So what they did, they installed, and this is permanent. I've had 9 of these over the years. I have a tube goes in the middle of my brain. It goes out of my skull to the back of my head. There's a big pump under the skin behind my right ear. From the bottom of the pump, there's a tube runs down the side of my neck, through my right pec muscle, into my abdomen, and it drains spinal fluid 24/7. When it plugs up, I'm in a coma within 24 hours and dead shortly after. I had 9 of those in 12 years. It went out 8 times the first 12 years. Here, they're telling me I can keep playing. So we're winning, right? That season. So they don't want anything, cause any problems. So let's keep Visger quiet.
Yeah.
So they're just. I mean, when I had knee surgery, that was in the paper, and I wasn't I wasn't a name in the NFL, but you know, so all of a sudden I have brain surgery, nothing said. I'm like, what the hell? And I come back, I'm working out, and they're treating me kind of weird. But I'm thinking, man, I must just be getting paranoid. Oh, then before I get out of the hospital, they cut Terry, and they shipped Scott to New Orleans. The only 2 people on the facility that knew what was really going on with me, they get rid of them before I get out. Both of them. So I come back, I'm working out. They're telling me I can still play. So I'm on injury reserve, but and I'm going to meetings and I'm just working out, staying in shape. And I'm thinking I'm going to play. And then we're winning, 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 and they don't want anything rocking the boat. But again, like I said, I was feeling weird. Nothing was said. So we're in the weight room one day, and John McVeigh, our general manager, brings these 3 local business couples through touring the facilities, and he's introducing them to folks. This is Joe Montana, our quarterback. This is Ronnie Lott, our rookie defensive back. This is George Visger. He says he's one of our veteran defensive linemen. He's on injury reserve. He had 2 knee operations. And this woman looks at me and she says, 2? How'd you have 2? And I said, no, ma'am, I had knee surgery, I had brain surgery. And John McVeigh, our general manager, looked me right in the eye with a look like, shut your mouth or you're out of here. He says, no brain surgery, you had 2 knee operations. Now, back then, and I'm sure it's the same now, they could cut you at any time. And baseball, you sign a 10-year, $100 bazillion contract. They owe you 10,
They
even if they cut you after a game. NFL, you could sign a 5-year, $1 million contract, play 1 game. They owe you one. How many games are now? 18. They owe you 1/18 of
17.
the first year's salary, and the rest is all bullshit. It's all on paper.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not even a real contract in the NFL.
Right.
So we were cutting guys. My rookie year in '80, we made 26 roster changes after the final cut day. In a 16-game season, that's an average of 1.5 guys cut every week and new guys in. So you have a bad game on Sunday, you come in on Monday, you're looking around, or actually, so Mondays were your days off. No, Mondays were light days. Tuesdays your day off. That's when they'd bring guys in and work them out. So Wednesdays
Right.
you'd come in after a game and you're looking around and you go, man, Paul, Mike, and Charlie are gone. I mean, every week it was like that. 2 or 3 guys gone, new guys there, which is how they brought me in. The 5th game of the season, my rookie year, that they cut a vet and brought me in. So anyway, season's progressing. We're getting ready to go to the Super Bowl. My roommates are gone. I'm like, man, they are not telling me something, but I don't know what it is. So the day we're leaving for the Super Bowl, it was in Detroit that year,
Yeah.
and we each player you got to take two free guests. And my dad was from Lansing, Michigan, so he has a lot of family back there. I said, hey, so I'm taking my dad and my older brother Mel. The day we're leaving, and I'm talking about our oldest brother Bob. I'm like, man, Bob, I have no idea what I'm headed for, but they are covering something up, and I had no idea what they were covering up. I said, I would just feel better if the papers knew about this. So the day we're leaving, he calls the San Francisco Chronicle, the San Francisco Examiner, the Oakland Tribune, the Sacramento Bee, all these local papers, and said, hey, he told them I'm a big 49er fan. I met this 49er, had brain surgery this year. Well, you and I both know the week before the Super Bowl, they'll write about what guys eat for breakfast.
Yeah.
This is a story, right? So he calls all these papers and they're all going, oh, no, 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 Visger's an injury reserve. They're looking me up on knee surgery. My brother goes, no, he's acting like he's just a fan. He goes, I got his autograph. He was in intensive care at having brain surgery. So every paper, five of me call. Well, we'll interview him when he gets to Detroit. No, is that where we play?
Detroit.
And
I,
so,
I looked it up before I got on.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mr. Memory here. So anyway, so I'm there, and injured players. We went a week later, so and we got the real players went 2 weeks to practice, and so he goes, when you get there, you're going to get inundated. Well, in order for anyone to interview me, they had to go through the front office to find out where I'm staying. I'm there 5 days. No one talks to me. Okay, we win the game. You know, headaches are getting worse. That's spring. You know, um, I'm like, what? Then the first 8 months. So when I had my first brain surgery, it was September of '81. And I remembered it was September because my birthday's on the 26th and I turned 23 in intensive care. In the next 8 months, I get arrested 3 times, had never been in trouble in my life. I'd go out and have a few beers before I even started getting arrested. I'd hear stories of me doing things totally out of character, punching people out, tearing up bars. I'd get up in the morning, go to practice. Sometimes my truck wouldn't be in front of my apartment. I'd have no idea where I left it. I'm calling people up. Did you see me last night? Did you see me? And I'd find my truck. I just left it at some bar. I had no idea how I got home. So this is all happening. Super Bowl was into January. By May, I've been arrested 3 times. I go back and see my neurosurgeon at Stanford just 4 months after the Super Bowl. I said, hey, something has happened since your surgery. He goes, got defensive. Well, not for my surgery. I go, well, I started telling him all these things going on with me. He does a CT brain scan on me.
Yeah.
He says, you look fine. I said, I'm leaving for Mexico tomorrow with my brother Mel and his wife, and we're renting a little cabin on the beach. We're going to go down there fishing for a few days. The doc says, no problem, leave the country. What about drinking? No problem. We fly down to Cabo a day or two later. I have one margarita at dinner, start getting pounding headaches. I tell my brother Mel and Nancy, I said, hey, I'm going to head back to the barn. I'm not feeling good. I go back to our little cabin. They stay out 2 or 3 hours. My last recollection, literally, my last recollection for the following 16 to 18 months of my life was my head ready to explode. I'm puking my guts out in this little cabin. I can't see. My hearing's going, eyesight. They come in after a couple hours. I'm going into a coma. They're calling our oldest brother Bob in Sacramento. And like I said, both my older brothers played college football. And so my older brother Bob is calling an orthopedic surgeon friend of his, Dr. Agee. Agee's calling a neurosurgeon friend of his, Dr. Cobb. Cobb's telling Agee, your friend's shunt is out. He will be dead in a day or two. Do not let them operate in Mexico. You got to get him home. So Agee calls Bob. Bob calls Mel back in Cabo. Mel, you got to get George home. Well, and again, I have no recollection of the next year now. Mel, they get me to the airport. He said my eyes were dilated. I couldn't speak. I'm puking all over. He has me by the hand. Now, I was really big back then. He said, my family, we have a very dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
So, and my brother Mel was this big old, he wasn't as tall as me, but big, stout. And I could make him almost vomit for years. All I have to say is, "Hey, Mel, I hear the Dorado are running down at Cabo. We got to go fishing." And he would go, "Oh gosh, oh no, I don't even want to think about it." So he said it was like of I was like Lenny of Mice and Men. He had me by the hand, the big younger brother, the big simple one, and if he let go of me, he said I would wander off, and they'd bring me back over the counter. Airlines take one look. We're not flying. They said, we're not letting this guy fly. So we miss a flight. We miss another flight. Mel's talking Bob. Bob's talking to Dr. Cobb, the neurosurgeon. Cobb's going, your brother is dying. Get him home. So we're stuck at the airport for hours. And finally, my brother Mel said that of all the people that helped him, the federales came in and said, if you don't get on the next commercial flight, we'll get you a private plane.
Hmm.
And then they let me fly. They got me back to Sacramento. We have this new neurosurgeon, Dr. Cobb, now took over, and I love Cobb, great guy. And the first hole they drilled in my skull was in the very back of my head. To put the tube has to go. You have ventricles in the middle of your brain, little cavities that are about as big around as a pencil, and they look like an X. They cross right in the middle of your brain. And right where they cross is this little tiny tube called the aqueduct of Sylvius. And it's like about not even an eighth of an inch across. And so these X-shaped ventricles, the back two every day produce a pint of spinal fluid. It flows through that little tiny aqueduct of Sylvius to the front two ventricles, around your brain, and down your spinal column, all that cerebral spinal fluid. And it does that to flush toxins and things out of your brain. And your body reabsorbs the fluids as it goes down your spine. Well, on me, um, they think over the years my concussions caused scar tissue at that aqueduct of Sylvius and it plugged it off. So when I produce a pint of spinal fluid every day in those back two ventricles, there's nowhere for it to go. They start filling up like water balloons and start literally crushing my brain from the inside out. And that shunt is poking in one of those ventricles to let it, siphon off.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm dying. They get me home. Cobb does a second brain surgery, but he didn't want to traumatize me anymore. And he put it in the original hole that Dr. Cobb drilled, which was way in the back, Dr. Koenig drilled in the back of my head. And Cobb said it wasn't a good spot to get a good shot in the ventricle, but they didn't want to traumatize me anymore. Second brain surgery, 10, 12 hours later, my brother Bob's getting a phone call from the hospital. Yes, is this, this is Sutter Memorial. We're trying to get a hold of your parents. Your brother's back in a coma. We're losing them. We think your family should get down here. Everyone rushes in. They rush me in. The third brain surgery, 10 hours later, give me last rites. Again, I'm 23 years old, no memory, literally the next 16, 18 months of my life. I guess I was really out of it. I would be fine talking like this, and all of a sudden I would just explode on people. I'm at a big Thanksgiving dinner at our folks' house, and my brother said, "I'm dropping f bombs." I mean, like this wasn't me. Had my sisters crying, and we're a very close knit group. And 16, 18 months of my life, zero memory. My first recollection, hospital bills. I'd
Hmm.
write on. I didn't even think to go back to the Niners. I mean, I don't even know what I did for a year and a half. I just didn't show up. I was never cut, traded, released. I just never showed up. So all of a sudden, my first recollection are hospital bills. And keep in mind, I made all of 65,000 my second year. It's not like it is now, you know. And I'd write on it, please bill San Francisco 49er. And I wrote it so damn many times. To this day, I still remember their address, 711 Nevada Street, Redwood City. Ship it off a week or two later, I get it back from 49ers, and all they'd write was, you owe this amount. They'd circle the total. I'm like, what the F is this? Creditors on me for years. I'm bouncing at nights for $10 an hour, working for my brother as a laborer on his construction company for $12 an hour during the day, just trying to survive. Now I have creditors on me for I don't know how many hundreds, whatever it was, for two brain surgeries and 14 days in intensive care. And so, anyway, long story short, I don't mean to keep rambling, but
No
in
problem.
'86, I mean, I had to hire an attorney, and I had no money. In '86, and I had no idea, I became the very first NFL player to ever win a work comp case. And that was '86. I was the only one till about 2010. No one. So I've been precedent setting for decades. And every time something with me came up, they're like, the 49, the work comp carrier, the travelers and the NFL, we can't keep effing losing to Visger because if word gets out, we're screwed.
Mhm.
And I have beaten them over and over and over. I have been forced to beat the 49ers work comp carrier, the Travelers, who grossed 26.3 billion in 2019 when I beat them the same year that the NFL grossed 19 billion. I have beaten the Travelers in five work comp hearings over the years, eight work comp appeals, and three times they took me clear to the California Court of Appeals to keep me from getting into doctor prescribed treatments over the years. They spent millions fighting me, and all I wanted was my earned medical benefits like every injured employee has earned. They fought me for freaking ever. And I've just refused to shut my mouth. I've like I said, I've found my roommates living under underpasses. I've had two of my close friends I worked with over the years blew their brains, killed themselves. One with his phone in his hand trying to call me for help. I mean, and I will not shut my mouth till this game is over with. And my book comes out in another month or two, and that's a whole nother story. But it's called Facing Giants: My 38-Year Battle, and it's on my 38-year work comp battle. 38 years.
That is, I mean, that's incredible. I mean, that's almost 4 decades, right? So you say you won't fight until this game's over. What do you mean by that?
Till I hold everyone accountable and I help everybody I possibly can. And I'm tits up and no longer breathing. So this is fourth quarter for me. And I had a saying when we played. Whenever it went to fourth quarter, I'd look around the huddle. I'd say, hey, fourth quarter's ours.
Yeah.
We own the fourth quarter. We
Right.
never lose a fourth quarter. And I'm pumped up. This is going to be the most exciting chapter of my life. I started a brain injury consulting business back in 2010 or 11 after I lost my environmental consulting business. And I've spoken all over the country. I've been on ESPN, NPR, CNN, you name it. There's 50 pages on the internet on me. Um,
That's what
I've
that's what I kind of gathered. That's I was looking at some of that stuff there that you've been on ESPN, CNN, Out of Bounds,
yeah.
Outside the Lines, pardon me. Uh, Quite something, and I appreciate the candor and the honesty. It is quite something because we I tune in on a Sunday morning. I'll turn on NFL Network, and there's Rich Eisen, and there's Michael Greenberg on ESPN, and it's all fun and glory, but there's fantasy football, but there's real lives. This is real life, and
Oh,
it's fascinating.
and not just the player's life. You know what this has done to my family? I mean, my immediate family growing up. I mean, my mom dealing. Think about if you, do you have any kids? Are you married?
I do, yeah. I have a son and daughter.
Could you imagine your child going through nine brain surgeries, grand mal seizures, arrests, losing his mind over the years? I mean, what that does to families?
Well, I was telling my son about this yesterday, and then just as I was about to go on, he brought it up. He goes, "Yeah, you're going to talk to that guy who has the 9 surgeries, and he's 9 years old." And it's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like for me, I just kind of sat there and I'm like, holy smokes. And then you've gone into all this detail here about all this, and it's, it is that oh wow moment. Like I couldn't imagine. It just
I mean,
it's
it
fathomable.
destroyed my I developed, I have frontal lobe dementia. I was diagnosed with that in 2011. I had an environmental consult, even despite all of that. So after I won my work comp case in 86
Mm-hmm.
and they offered me 35,000 and I told them to pound sand, I said, I want what every injured employee has earned.
Yeah.
I want my past medical paid. I said, I want my future medical left open. Thank you, God, that I did. Literally, thank you, God, because I had six more brain surgeries after that. And I said, and I can no longer function as an employee of the 49ers. I don't call myself a player. I said, I was an employee and I cannot go back to my work. So you are obliged, they are obliged by law to retrain me in a field of work where I make a quote unquote comparable amount of money. It's called vocational rehab. So I said, all I want to do, I had 4 years of biology at Colorado. I said, all I want to do is go back to school and finish my biology degree because that was my second dream in life, play in the NFL and be a biologist.
Mm-hmm.
So they agreed. So in 86, I'm living in Sacramento. So in 1986, I go back to Sac State to finish my biology degree. And I had 4 more semesters of chemistry, two of physics, two of pre-calc left, among others. In one 10-month period while I'm taking those courses, I have 5 more emergency brain surgeries, several grand mal seizures, developed dyslexia, major short term memory issues, absolute nightmare. It took me 5 more years to graduate. I completed my degree at age 32
Mm-hmm.
after 8 brain surgeries with dyslexia, short-term memory issues, and I started my second passion. I was a wildlife biologist. My second dream as a kid. That was 1990. That shunt blew out in 1993. I had my ninth brain surgery. Went back to work as a wildlife biologist. I got married in 95. I was like 36 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Christy, my first wife, I had met her, and Stephanie was two, my oldest daughter. I don't call her my stepdaughter. I raised her, so she was two. Met her in four when we got married. But I was traveling as a biologist. I was gone all the time, right? And so Steph was having trouble with me being gone a lot. So I ended up teaching high school for 2.5 years to stay home. I taught biology, chemistry, environmental studies, and English language learners algebra for 2.5 years, and I went back into the wildlife work in '99, and in 2003, I started my own environmental consulting business, and then, but I was just getting more and more and more involved in this NFL brain injury stuff, and I was getting more and more pissed the more information I dug up on it.
Yeah.
Guys I played against, Mike Webster, who I emulated when I was in Pop Warner. And I lined up over him when I was with the Jets. He was like my idol as a kid.
Yeah.
And to read about how he died, toothless, gluing his teeth back in, stun gun to his head. I connected with his son, Garrett, years ago. We've had many, many good talks about his dad.
Mm-hmm.
He told me what a great guy he was and just a loving father. And then toward the end, when his brain was just dying off due to CTE, he said one Thanksgiving, middle of the meal, and dad gets up and walks to the microwave, opens the door, pees in it, shuts the door, and sits back down and keeps eating, and no one knew that his brain was dying, and just families fractured. I mean, so as I'm reading more and more, I'm just getting more and more livid. I'm like, I'm holding these bastards accountable.
Yeah.
So they tried to make me disappear for decades. And we stood up to them and stood up to them. And 2014,
Wow.
a gentleman by the name of Alan left. We were still hanging on to my environmental consulting business. We hadn't quite lost the house yet. And I get a call from Jason Lukasevich from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And He uses himself. He says he was an attorney for a big law firm back there, Persky White, and I forget the other one. He says he's looking into a potential class action lawsuit against the NFL on brain injuries. And I laughed. I said, I'm your effing boy to talk to. So he flew out from Pittsburgh, and he was good friends with Dr. O'Malley back in Pittsburgh. And that's how he really got into it. And, and, and Jason was just a soldier for this big, huge firm. So he flies out. They try to team up with Motley Rice, which was like one of the largest law firms in the world. They had like 4,500 employees. They settled big tobacco years ago for billions. So Jason calls me up. He says, "Hey, we don't have the the wherewithal to take on the NFL, so we're going to try to team up with Motley Rice." And Jason says, "But if they don't take it," he goes, "I'm going to find someone." He goes, "This is the right thing to do." And I said, "Jason," I said, "if you do it," I said, "I will stand with you till the very end." And so he and Jay and Motley Rice, this guy, fly out to my little office in Sacramento. I had two other biologists working for me, meet with me for 2.5 hours and they leave. I'm thinking, wow, that's weird. A day or two later, Jason calls back and he explains to me what's going on. And so a couple of weeks, few weeks later, Motley Rice, it goes through all review. This is one of the largest law firms in the world. The guy calls me up. He says, "Yes, we just don't think we have what it takes to take on the 600-pound NFL gorilla." Motley Rice, who settled big tobacco. I told him, "F you, you frickin' pussies." I said, "I'll do it myself." I called Jason Lukasevich up. He goes, "George," he goes, "I'm going to find a team." He goes, "We're going to do this." I said, "I'm with you, brother." He teamed up with another firm. When he filed that very first suit, I'm the 22nd named plaintiff. On the original suit had 55 of us. I was one of seven guys. They flew back to the press club in Washington, D.C. when Jason unveiled that suit, and there were 247 media from all over the world. And I was no one in the NFL. I was one of seven guys they had speak.
Right.
You know what I did? I stood up there. I
Hmm.
held up a SPECT scan of my brain, which shows all these holes and these areas that don't work. And I held up my SPECT scan. I said, "Here's my reality: 9 NFL brain surgeries, zero NFL benefits." And I go, "Do I need to say anything else?" And I sat down. And Jason filed the very first suit against these dirtbags. And by God, he was the one. All these other big firms jumped in after the fact, and Girardi and all these guys. Jason Lukasevich is the guy that did it. He
Great.
wrote one of the forwards for my book. I love the guy, good close friend of mine, and we stood shoulder to shoulder battling these assholes. And Jason flew out in 2019 when we were trying to finally settle my work comp case against the $26 billion travelers. And 2 years prior, the $1 billion NFL lawsuit was won. Now, the way they had it set up was bullshit. You needed 5 years to be vested in the brain injury lawsuit, even though you only need 4 to be vested in the NFL. Even though the average career is only 3.2, I played 2 years, but the year I had 3 brain surgeries didn't count in the brain injury lawsuit because I was injured in preseason. So I was only given 1 year credit out of 5. So I was going to get 20% of what I really, 1/5 of what I really qualified for, which I didn't care because we lost our home in 2010. And my kids and my wife moved to Sacramento. They were sleeping on air beds and couch at grandma's for years, commuting an hour to go to school. I'm sleeping on the floor at the hyperbaric clinic for 2.5 years. I slept in my brother's trailer for a year. I was living on $1,760 a month, Social Security disability, watching my family freaking suffer and crumble and fall apart, and I can do nothing for them. I when the NFL brain injury lawsuit was won, I was going to get just a few hundred thousand. I was qualified for Um, you had to be diagnosed with five different things. If you died by CTE, that paid up to 5 million. Parkinson's paid up to 4.5 million. Had this sliding scale. Well, neurocognitive impairment 2.0 was the second to the lowest. That was dementia. That's what I was diagnosed with. And that paid up to 3 million. But because I was only credited 1 year, I was going to get 1/5 of that. So here's 600,000. Then, of course, attorney cuts and all that. But I didn't even care. I was going to get my family back in a home. Within a week of me being approved for my NFL settlement, the travelers come swooping in like the freaking buzzards that they are, and they file a $615,000 lien on my NFL settlement, more than I was even going to get. So now they want me to pay them back for my injuries. So now I've got creditors, I'm battling this lien. 2014, a year prior or so around then, a long story short, but I connect with this guy, Chris Asvar. He's a work comp attorney in Southern California, young guy. I'm connected with him through Sue Reeb, who runs this foundation called Brain, who read about me. And Sue, I love her to death. She's another one of my angels in my life, as is Chris Asvar and Jason Lukasevich. So she introduced me to Chris. Chris wants to look into reopening my work comp case. Okay, so I won it in '86, but I never closed it. Right, I
Right.
never settled it.
Yeah.
So he looks into trying to reopen. Of course, they fight him tooth and nail. They do not want this case. He battled, got it reopened from 14 till 19 when we finally settled. So Chris, we go to court. We have a hearing. He has a group. A doctor recommended 30 days of in-house treatment for me at Center for Neuroskills. Now, I'd never had a day of treatment in my life. This is 30 something years after my original injury. So they're going to try to get me in the Center for Neural Skills in Bakersfield, which was 5 hours from my family. We go to court. We kick travelers' ass. They appeal. 7 months later, we beat that appeal. They file a second appeal. 5 months later, we beat that appeal. They take me to the frickin' California Court of Appeals, unheard of for a work comp case. Months later, we kick their ass in that one. I finally get in, like 17, 18 months later, to get treatment. Finally, I'm in my mid to late 50s
Hmm.
and I'm living at this place,
Yeah.
getting treatment 7 hours a day. After 30 days, big sit down with all the docs, my work comp attorney and my doc. They go, Mr. Visger is like 57 years old and he's showing great improvement. We recommend 90 days. Another nuclear battle. We go back to court. I have to win another hearing, another appeal, another California Court of Appeals. I get in for 90 days, another year and a half later. I'm at Emeryville now, closer to my family. After 90 days there, they go, wow, Mr. Visger. And I'm busting my ass in there. To me, it's a job, 7 hours a day. I'm going to get my butt back and take care of my family. My family was still homeless, still living with grandma on couches and stuff. After 90 days there, they recommend a year. Now, keep in mind, this is costing the travelers $1,500 a day. Okay. So we're sticking it up their little wazoo every day I'm in there. Plus, I'm getting better. Both of those are making me very happy. You know,
Yeah.
again, they recommend a year, another nuclear battle. Have to win a hearing, appeal. I do a year there. Now I'm 60, 61 years old. They say, Mr. Visger still shows improvement. We don't know how much he'll need. That finally brought the travelers to the table to settle. October of 2019. I'm injured at 22. I'm 61 years old. We go to a mediation hearing to try to settle my work comp case and remove the $615,000 lien the travelers placed on my NFL settlement once and for all. to just try to get rid of this garbage and let eight and the travelers send their top seven corporate big dogs to fight me. Jason Lukasevich flies out from Pittsburgh. He brings an attorney friend of his, Mad Max Petunia, who actually wrestles big time under the name The Gavel. I love this guy. He's a big time wrestler on the side. And so Jason comes out with Mad Max and then Chris to work on the lien. And then Chris Asbar is representing me for my work comp case. They've got their seven big dogs, the $26 billion travelers, fighting little old freaking blue collar, no name George Visger, who has refused to back down from these assholes my whole life.
Mhm.
8.5 hours into the hearing, and I'm in one room with my attorneys, and they're all down. And the way it worked, both sides had to agree to a judge. And he comes in and knows nothing about the case. He walks in the morning at 8:30. He goes, "Okay." He's like this. "Who's George Visger?" And I said, "I am, Your Honor." He goes, "What do we got going on here today?" Because he knows nothing about the case, right?
Right.
I said, "Well, Your Honor," I said, 38 years ago, I was a 22-year-old defensive tackle, a 22-year-old employee of the 49ers. I said, I had 3 brain surgeries in 8 months. I had 9 brain surgeries in 12 years. And I said, and 38 years later, I'm still trying to get my effing bills paid. Now, I didn't say effing to him. I spelled it out. And he looked at me and he goes, "That's immoral." I said, "Thank you, Your Honor." So now he goes down to their room with my attorneys. They're in there for an hour or two. They come back. So all day long, it's like this back and forth. We're making some headway. They're starting to lower their lien. 8.5 hours into it, 8.5 hours into this mediation hearing, the travelers decide, I guess they want to go to dinner. Judge comes into my room. He hands this piece of paper. "Here's the latest offer." Now they want me to pay them $700,000. Me pay them
Makes no sense.
700,000. And I lost my mind. I looked at the judge. I jumped out of my chair. I put my middle finger in his face. I said, "F you and F them." Now, had we not settled in this mediation hearing, they were taking me to a full blown jury trial 4 days later. Unheard of, a jury trial for work comp. Isn't this mind boggling?
It very much is. This is the stuff that does not get talked about.
It doesn't, but it will. When my book comes out,
Yes.
it's going to be told. The story will be told. And so I lose my mind. The judge tells me they want 700. I said, "That's it." I said, "Screw them, screw you." I said, "I'll go down the hall." I said, I'll kick their freaking asses and give them brain damage." I said, "Let them fight me for 38 years." I said, "I'll still be swinging." I said, "I'm walking. We're going to trial in 4 days." A judge go, "No, no, no, no. Give me one more chance." And I'm just going off on him. And anyway, I wrote a little note on this thing and I said, "Go read that to him." He says, "I can't." I said, "You read it or I'm walking." He goes down the hall with my 2 attorneys. He must have walked in there and said, "Listen, we're all effing dead if you don't give this guy an honorable settlement," because he doesn't. I told him, I said, "Your Honor, I lost my business, my home,
Mm.
my marriage, my children." I said, "I don't give a freaking shit. I'll beat the living shit out of all of them." I said, "Throw my sorry ass in jail. I'll have a roof and 3 squares a day." I said, "I don't give a shit. These guys are wrong, and I'm not freaking folding." An hour later, he comes back in with a piece of paper in his hand. Now I'm on the backside of this big conference table. I'm the only one in the room, right? He comes in with my attorneys. He slides this piece of paper to me, and then he steps back. He goes, "It's not perfect, but I think it can work." And I'm looking down at the paper, and I'm looking at him, and I'm my eyes. I'm just freaking. I'm giving him the stink eye, right? I look down at the paper again, and I start tapping it. I go. "This is supposed to be worth what my family went through for 38 years." The judge goes, "I know." He goes, "I think it's a good offer." And I'm going. "So their liens off my NFL settlement. They don't get any of that." He says, "Yeah." And I go, "No, I can't divulge numbers." I said, "But the 7 figures are supposed to be for what my family went through." He goes, yeah. And I go just like this, not even effing close. No, no. I'm talking. And so I was knocking on the table. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, I thought I was knocking. Oh, it brought her from the back room. Um, I'm tapping it. And I said, not even close. Now everyone in the room's going, oh my gosh, Visger wants to go to trial, which nobody did,
Mhm.
including me. And I just paused. I sat there and I looked at the judge. I said, but I'm done fighting. And it was like, you let the air out of the room. And it was like 1,000,000 pounds were off my shoulders. I just go, I'm done fighting. I'll take it. And it was like, judge goes, okay, now there's a non-disclosure. I said, you can tell them to kiss my effing ass. I said, I started on a book in 2010. I said, my book will come out. I said, I may not put exact figures in. I said, but people are going to hear what these giant corporations do for their love of money. They chew up employees and families, and they don't give a shit about anything but their bottom line. And people are going to hear it. And you tell them to bring it on. They want to fucking sue me, sue me. And we walked out. And my wife, who's not my, she was my girlfriend and my now wife, Jennifer, again, another blessing. This is, I met her while I was living at Center for Neural Skills. I mean, I've been blessed so many times on this journey. We stepped out of that building and I looked around and I just went, wow, I go, this is like the first time in 38 years that I feel like I can really see. I'm not focused on next bills. I was like, all of a sudden I'm picturing where I want to move to and hunting trips and things I want to do and with my kids and take care of. It's every day of my life was just an hour to hour battle to get through.
Yeah.
And just this huge weight off of me. And I looked at Jennifer. I said, here's the ending of the book. Because I had sent my book to publishers years earlier. I had like 510 pages. And people are going, oh my gosh, what a story, but you can't publish it. And I said, why? They said, there's no ending. It keeps going. So my ending in my book, which is an amazing battle, but my family's back together. My kids were all my ex-wife and I, Jennifer and my ex, they FaceTime each other. Christy's a wonderful mom, and I mean, we're a family again. I was able to put my kids through college, my two younger kids through college. Jack just graduated with a degree in environmental engineering, got hired 2.5 years before he even graduated
Wow.
as an intern. And then he was getting ready to graduate last year. And he goes, hey, Dad, he goes, the VPs want to call me in for I think they're offering me a job. I said, Bud, don't devalue, don't undervalue yourself. Go in, let them know you know what you're worth. And the kid stood up and great country. He's just a great, good kid, which I never let him play football either. He never played the game that I loved.
Mhm.
And he lettered in 4 sports in high school and was a scholar student. Great kid. I have great kids. Stephanie, my oldest, is amazing. I mean, I fell in love with her the day I met when she was 2. Amanda, my middle daughter, she graduated just 2 or 3 years ago at Sac State, gave the commencement speech. I mean,
Nice.
she's hired immediately. My kids are awesome. I'm just so proud, and they're just great people.
Yeah.
Having gone through what they did for years, they could have been bitter. They could, you know what I mean? They had every excuse in the world not to get it done at school, in sports, to be complete creeps. And they're the best folks I know.
Mhm.
And I'm like, God has blessed me over and over and over on this journey.
Yeah.
And then I meet Jennifer while I'm at Center for Neuro Skills. And it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I mean, we start each day off. We get up in the morning. We do our Bible, our scripture readings. She's helped get me back grounded again. Um, we're growing in God and family, and telling you,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to talk about it.
Hmm.
You're lucky you don't have me on video because
Sorry. I appreciate your story, man.
it's a David versus Goliath, man.
Yeah.
And it's a good versus evil. Good overcame, you know.
Whew.
And you got the condensed version.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you got me there when you say you and your wife go get up in the morning and get grounded in the word. That's
It's the most amazing. It's a life that I never could have even dreamed of. We're living in this beautiful home in Idaho. We've been here 4 years. I've killed 4 bucks, a bear, ducks, geese, trout. We're raising our own chickens. We're raising our own fruits and vegetables. We have met some of the best friends ever. We have the greatest Bible study and church group and we're growing in God every day. It is a miraculous life that we have. I mean, and my wonderful wife just snuck into the kitchen here. So I've got him crying right now. As I finished it off with tears running down my face. For some reason, he doesn't have the video. We couldn't get the video working on my end. So my wife is right here, Jennifer.
I thought I said it. I always think I said it to video. I try to. I'm not sure. Now I really feel bad. Maybe we could have gone to video, but we could do a FaceTime later on at some
Yeah,
point. I know it's getting on, but um
I see even tears.
sorry, it's
Hey, I'm in tears too. Just talking about it, I tell you what. Wait till you read the book. When you read the book, it will blow you away.
yeah, because you know what? It's honestly you know what the devil meant for, you know, you know, evil, God turned it to good.
Absolutely.
And I know that's cliche, but holy smokes.
It's not. It's the truth. It truly is.
Hmm.
And there were so many twists and turns in this journey I was on. So many times things could have gone south.
Yeah.
By the grace of God, He put there's a whole chapter in my book titled Angels. It's all these different people that I met over the years. Mike Greenhall, who ran the hyperbaric clinic, after my 40th treatment, the travelers quit paying for him. He treated me for 123 treatments at 250 bucks a pop out of his own pocket and let me sleep there for 2.5 years on the floor with nothing. I never paid him a penny. And he had a quadriplegic daughter that he was taking care of. His wife left him with Jessica.
Yeah.
This guy is an angel. I love him. Brother Mike, I call him. In fact, he ended up when Jennifer and I were getting married. When I told him, he goes, "Hey," and he goes, he had taken some certificate. He goes, "I'm a certified minister." He goes, "I can do your ceremony." He married Jennifer and I in her folks' backyard in Southern California. It was beautiful. We had her family there, my kids there, Mike and he has a new wife. God bless her. Jessica passed away, his daughter, after he took care of her for years. And this guy is an absolute angel. Brother Mike did our ceremony. It was
Wow.
awesome. I mean, I'm telling you, there have been miracle after miracle, after miraculous blessings my whole life. You know,
Yeah. That is,
God has been much better to me than I ever deserve, but thank you, Lord, and I'm going to do everything I can to pay it back and do all the good I can while I can. So that's our game plan.
definitely. So when is your book coming out?
Well, we hope within the next month or two. It's written. The long story. The publisher scammed us. The limited editions came out, a year and a half late and full of edits and mistakes and just people still haven't even gotten them. that paid for them almost 560 days ago. So slowly, so Jennifer re-edited it, and Jennifer was an editor. She's a musician, music writer. She's amazing, incredible. So she re-edited it. Now she's just doing, what do you call, you're doing the
I'm, I'm formatting it.
yeah. So she's formatting the book right now. It's
The thing that we have to do. So right now, I'm very close to being finished formatting it, but we're
Mm.
gonna have to create a new cover. Because we don't have the license for the photo that was used on or on the one that our
with,
scammy
yeah.
that our crooked publisher created. But then the thing that's holding us up after that is just we have to fully legally be extricated from we have to have a full legal repudiation of her rights,
Yes.
which we're well on our way toward getting. We've scared her enough with our posts on social media that she wants to cut ties with us,
I
you
see.
know. So anyway, that's where we're having a letter written by an attorney for an agreement for her to sign.
Yep.
So we're just waiting for that before we can self-publish.
I
It's
see.
titled "Facing Giants: My 38-Year Battle."
Yep, that's what you had inboxed me there
Yep.
when I accepted the
And
friend request. I was like, oh, this, wow, kind of, I was at work at the time, but I'm like, well, this seems interesting. Anything with sports will always perk my interest. But again, the 38-year battle and all of that. Any talks of maybe going on the road, maybe doing some public speaking on this,
oh,
or
absolutely. Yeah, I speak all over the country until COVID kind of shut everything down, and then until we settled my case, I had just a lot of stuff going on now. Case is done. The books that we're going to hit the ground running, selling books. And I do motivational talks, empowering people, educating folks to what their rights are. And what we're going to do is I'm offering to donate 50% of the profits to any group who published the link to my book on their website. We'll either donate it to their group or the brain injury recovery group of their choice. So my book is all about, we need to cover expenses, and we've got a lot invested in this, especially
Mhm.
with this sleazy publisher that ripped us off to begin with. So, but this book is all about, educating and empowering folks, and just letting them know that, you know what, the big guys, the big bad giants don't always win. Sometimes the little Davids stand up and smack them in the face with a rock, you know.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it, right? And I mean, yeah, you are kind of because of this. I mean, again, it is kind of that watershed moment, honestly, where you didn't take no for the answer, and kind of look what's happened here, and that platform you have is incredible. Uh,
Yeah.
you know, it's just coming to me now. I would love it if you guys came to my town here and speak sometime.
You know what?
That would be awesome.
We are planning, and Jennifer's on her third children's book. Great messages in them. God's in control. Everyone's a little different, and they're wonderful messages in each one of the books. And parents will love reading them too. She did all the illustrations, wrote them herself. She's an incredibly talented woman. So we want to hit the ground and do nationwide tours. She has her own story that will empower people and
Mm,
blow them away. And we want to do the talks and sell the books and raise money for different groups. And this is what and then Jennifer's a musician, music writer. I'll send you a link to a song she wrote for me titled Warrior Drop Your Sword.
yeah, yeah.
And for years, I always used to say, I'm so sick of fighting, man. I just want to drop my sword. And she wrote this beautiful song. It starts off like, who would, this little boy grow up, and there's quotes from my mom, and the battles increased, and it's incredible. I'll send you the link to it.
For sure.
Um, and So we want to hit the ground. Uh, she does these incredible videos. I mean, some are hilarious. Some of them are, are really touching. And she just did one that I'll have to send you on the down low.
Sounds good.
I got to kind of keep it quiet right now.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
But anyway, so we'll send you Warrior. You can play that puppy,
Okay.
and I mean it's powerful. She has a quote in there from my mom, who was my hero, my
Hmm.
little 5'3" Lebanese freaking warrior, Big Rita Visger. I always called her Big Rita.
Yeah.
She wasn't even 5 foot when she passed at 94, holding my hand. Me telling her she raised six of us kids, and I'm telling her, go home, Big Rita, you're done. You kicked butt here, you're finished. And she had my little sister's hand in her other hand. Her two youngest
Mm.
kids were there when she took her final breath and went on home. It was beautiful. And my only biggest regret was she wasn't, even though she was here with us, wasn't here to see the end of the battle, because she
Right.
lived every stitch with me, every drill through the skull, you know. But she was there with us. There's no doubt. Big Rita, you
Wow.
know. It's a pretty, like I said, I lived it. It's a pretty powerful story.
Yeah, it's wow. I've had many guests on and podcasts, and I don't know, I haven't come across something like this, and it's awesome. And I'm a guy of faith, and I just can't help but think that this was a divine moment right here, right now.
Oh, no, there's no doubt in my mind. I'll tell you, one of the most defining moments, if maybe the most defining moment of my life.
Hmm.
I was 22 years old. I just had my first brain surgery. I'm in intensive care for 14 days at Stanford, just coming off my first knee surgery. I'm feeling sorry for myself. Man, I just had two surgeries in just a few weeks. In the first 3 days after my brain surgery, I couldn't even have a pillow. I had to lay flat, couldn't lift my head. They were afraid it would drain the fluid too quickly and cause another brain bleed. The first hour I get out of bed, the third day there, fourth day there, I shuffle down the hall. Okay, now I'm in the neurosurgery ward at Stanford, where a lot of people aren't going home. And I'm feeling sorry for myself. I says, I'm shuffling down the hall. I look in the first room. Here's some little 6-year-old kid, car wreck, brain dead, parents. The next room, I look. Here's, someone else, the next room, gun, whatever, gunshot wound. By the time I made one lap around that ward, came back to my room, I said, you know what? There's not a damn thing wrong with you. I said, you better count your blessings. And I never felt sorry for myself after that. And that was God put me there. It's like, you know what? And of course, over the years, there were a lot of times where I'm like, why? Why? When I went back to school in 10 months, 5 brain surgeries, it was just crazy. I'm like, but you know what? As I tell people, every time I thought I had it worked out, when I'm on that path of life,
Hmm.
God would reach down and crack me on the head with another brain surgery. And I changed my direction a little bit and then whack till finally after the ninth and knock you in my knees. And the ninth one, I got up, I looked up, I go, okay, what do you want me to do? You know?
Right.
And even then, he still had to keep slapping around a little bit till he got my attention. I
Wow.
wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change a step of my journey. I really wouldn't. I mean, other than the pain it caused my family, but we all grew through it, and there's nothing but love with everybody now. It's beautiful.
Well, it is the trial through the fire, right?
Exactly.
And again, cliche, but you've lived it. I mean, that is like you take the age of the 23, and it's wild. Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, it's. there's so much more I want to ask you. That's why I say we can
Oh
always have a
gosh, yeah.
part two. I'll
Believe me,
try to get
there's
the video.
there's a whole believe me, there's the book itself. I mean, we had to cut it down. So now I'm doing the second book. We had to take so much out of it. That's just going to be titled Brothers. First of all, we may do a second book on just our battle now with the publisher. We go, here's a whole nother book.
Right.
But so I'm going to do a second one. All these stories I pulled out of the original one called Brothers. And so it's going to be, first of all, my two older brothers and I, there's no one close in the world than I have, the three of us.
Okay.
And we lost our brother Mel, the middle boy, in 2010. And we called him the Melon. He was a wild man. And he was killed in a car wreck. And after that, my oldest brother, Bob, who's 10 years older than me, we looked at each other and we go, man, last man standing has to tell the story. And so every time we call him my older brother Gomez, he looked just like Gomez on the Addams Family, right? Years ago. I mean, a spitting image. And he's been known as Gomez since the 70s. So every time we talk, email, text, we end it, text and email that always ended with LMS, last man standing. Or when we're talking, it's like, hey, love you, brother, right? Last man standing. Knowing that he knows what I want said at my funeral, and I know what he wants the stories told,
Right.
because the Visger, we're storytellers. We, as you can probably tell, I yak a lot. So
Yeah, I had some backup notes because yeah, just in case, but I kind of thought this is how this was going to go and whatever. And because you said you had a story to tell, and I mean, I'll if I have to, I'll look down and intersect. But I mean, this is just beautiful. This is awesome.
if you've got questions, I know I probably yak way over your time frame that you planned, but
It's all good, but no, I'm very serious. I mean, I would love for you to come up to Canada and come in my neck of the woods and
you know what? We would love it. Set up a couple of talks for us.
mhm.
Um, and I'll bring my fishing pole. We can sneak a little fishing in. I'm an avid hunter and fisherman.
Okay.
So, in fact, actually, after I got cut by the Jets, um, Calgary had also drafted. I had no idea that they drafted along the NFL. So I was home one day and they called. And so I was up in Calgary for a couple of weeks on just a 2 week tryout. I knew I could make it in the NFL. My agent said, just stay in shape up there. So I go up there, I pack my fly rod. I practiced hard for like a day and a half. And I was as good as anyone they had, but they could only have two imports back then. And one was their quarterback, and the other one was another one of the defensive linemen who played with the Steelers a year or two earlier.
Mhm.
So after I practiced hard a couple of days, I go and see a general manager. I said, "You guys can start me." Oh, we can't make a roster change. I said, "Okay, well then just send me home. I don't want to get hurt for $200 a week." They go, "Stick around in case our other import gets hurt." So they give me $200, and I rent a car, go up to Banff, and I fly fish for 2 or 3 days, and I come back and I go in to see him. Okay, fly me home. No, no, here's another 200. Stick around another week. I ended up staying up for like 2 weeks, just fishing and eating and drinking,
Nice.
and just I had a blast.
Yeah.
And then they wanted me to stay. I go, I got to go home and get back into shape. And then as it was perfect. I was home for about a week, and then Denver called and flew me out for a tryout, and then the Niners had me in for try. It was perfect timing. I had a little break up from Canada fishing. So,
It's definitely a beautiful country. I mean,
oh,
it's yeah, it's awesome out
absolutely.
there. Even in Manitoba and Saskatchewan, you can find good spots too. There are good fishing spots in Manitoba.
Oh yeah,
I do know that for a fact. So lots of
and
Americans do come up to Manitoba to fish.
yeah, I'd love it. We'd love to come up.
Yeah, I mean, I have some places in mind as we're speaking, or as we're just talking here, and I mean, I'm always kind of the hey, let's get somebody up here, let's get them in, because I think your story is so impactful. It's
Yep.
fascinating. It's it's truly it's truly unique unto itself, and for you to say that you wouldn't change anything, and you've the journey and again, the restoration of your family. It's just beautiful.
It is. It's a miracle. I mean, literally, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
My family could have gone so many different directions.
Yeah.
I mean, Jennifer and Christy, my first, they'll FaceTime and tell each other how much they love each other. Christy is so thankful for having another mom to our kids. And Jennifer's just so thankful because she never had kids of her own. And now she has these three beautiful kids,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, it is a beautiful, it was a tough story, but it's a beautiful story, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so you know what? Hook up veterans groups, hospital groups, uh, schools, athletic groups. I do motivational talks. I speak at big businesses, goal setting. I do talks on. So hook us up with some stuff, be an excuse to come up and hang out with you.
Yeah, I mean, I know of some schools, some hockey organizations. Since this is
Yes,
I'll just say just generic. Yeah, yeah, I would absolutely love it because, you know what, my podcast is on sports, but time is short, right?
yeah,
We know this,
yep,
and I just think that, you know what, we're all made to have impact. And
absolutely.
your story, like in the last hour here, this has been so filling for me. I'm gonna have a hard time sleeping. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, this is wild, and
It is wild. It is wild.
so not to be too
And like I said,
redundant. I mean, it's incredible.
you just got the tip of the ice. So I'm going to send you. Did I send you my bio?
Yes, you did.
Okay, good. So you can pass that out to groups and see if anybody wants a speaker,
Hmm.
goal setting, motivational. I do brain injury recovery talks. I mean, a whole gamut. Coaches, concussion clinics.
Yeah,
I'll speak to any group because I have a lot that I can pass on, and I feel that's my mission. You
yeah,
know,
yeah, absolutely. Okay.
church groups, we'd love to.
Yes. Okay. Uh, so much going on.
Good, good.
So good. Wow, this has felt like 10 minutes, but I would love to have you on again sometime.
Let's do it.
And I will try to get the video, sure, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, this has been wild. But yeah, was there anything else that as we sign off here, I'll convert it, put it on the page as soon as we're done here. But
I'm sorry I didn't even let you ask any questions. I just start spewing. So if you have any questions I didn't touch on, or we can do it the next time. I will next time.
we can do it the next time
Yeah.
because I think this is just perfect. Put a bow on it, and
Yep.
we'll go from
There
there.
we go.
Wow, that's your mission. Like this is just incredible. Wow. I have the book right beside me here. Crossroads, my story of tragedy resilience of the Humboldt Broncos. So I've had two of those guys on there, and
Right. Yeah.
kind of the same age with the brain injury, like 20, like they were a bit younger, but not like they've had to overcome, and
Yeah.
they're telling their stories just like you.
I love those folks.
Hmm. Yeah.
And the thing is, this is what I tell people: everyone has a cross to bear. You may not see it. You may see some billionaire and you think they have everything in the world. They have crosses you wouldn't even understand what may be going on in their life.
Yeah.
Everyone has one. So you either use it as a tool or you can let it just crush you down.
Yeah.
And I elected to take mine and sharpen the end of it as a sword and frickin' fight my way through the NFL and the Travelers and everything else in my way to get to where we want to be. And we're not even there yet. We're just getting started.
That's
You
right.
know,
Yeah.
we're just getting started.
Just getting started. That's right.
Love it.
Good deal. Good,
Hey,
good.
thank you so much for having me on, brother.
Hey, no worries, and God bless. And
God bless you too.
I'd love to meet in person sometime, and I'm sure we will.
We will. We will. We will. Within this next year, we will be up there.
Okay,
Guarantee you.
sounds good, George. Really do appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
Thanks again, bud. And shoot me a link to this and we'll pass it out. And then let me know when we'll do the follow up where you can actually speak.
Yeah, well, I got the notes here. It's all good.
All right, good.
Okay, good deal.
Hang on to them.
Yeah, for sure. Take care.
All right, bud. Thanks. Bye.